he grew up in the Bronx, and he's a doctor, so he knows, he knows education, the
Come
history,
on,
the
come on
research
now.
process.
Like that you only gonna get so far with the doctor thing for me. The whole purpose of a degree is to be employable. That doesn't mean that you're intelligent. It just means you know how to follow directions, you know how to read and study, but that doesn't make you like super intelligent just because you have a doctorate. It just means you qualified for the job. So you gotta do more than just have your doctorate and use that as, the reason for why you should be respected.
And the point he was arguing from put that doctor.
because it was all emotion. He couldn't remove his he couldn't remove his Latino pride from his argument. There's
Historical
nothing wrong
reference.
with it.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
So it was
you're
ego,
going
and
in and
I
out.
think that's
You're going in and out hits.
oh
so it
my
was
bad.
all
Yeah,
ego. It was all ego then.
Yeah, well, what it
yeah. There you
is his
go.
is
There you go.
you're a wise man once said your belief will betray your education if you get too far into your belief. You got to have a balance.
Yes.
You don't want to be too smart that you don't go to church just because you learned something. Doesn't make sense. There's a certain reverence for you. Some things are family rituals. Some things mean a lot to your grandparents. Just because you went to school and possibly learned that the above the stars is just so outer space, and now all of a sudden you don't believe in God, but you think that you got to tell your grandmother, your 85-year-old grandmother that loves her grandson, you know what? God doesn't exist. That you didn't learn anything in school. As far as I'm concerned, if you learn to disappoint your grandmother in her final years and disappoint your grandfather to try to educate her, then you probably missed the point of what being a school is. For me, the doctorates is also, and you're right, Mel, unless you're a person creating something or bringing new things to the field, only thing you showed me is that you can go to school longer, you can memorize longer, and you should at least learn the methodology of how to break things down. And you're the most resilient. I don't know how many of y'all graduated college, right? But a college graduate, when you look at them, to look at them as though they're more intelligent to you is disrespectful to yourself. They're more resilient. A lot of stuff is luck. The finances came through. They had the right set of things break down. Every time in college, there's one or two times while you're in college, or there's 4 years, 6 years, or 8 years. There's a sometimes 10 or 12. The At least 3-4 times in there, you go to bed not knowing if you're still going to be in school tomorrow. For
Facts.
some people, they go to bed uh, 15 times a semester not knowing if they're going to be in school tomorrow, whether it be grades, whether it be a drinking incident, whether it be a fight, whether it be finances, you know. So it's a resilience test. That's what I say. Most people that say that people that go to college are smarter, it's always the ones that go to college that are the ones saying, no, no, you survived. It's a survival kind of thing. That's why when most people tell you, yeah, I did some school and then they stop, that's pretty much a lot of people's story. That's a lot of people's story. They started, something happened in their freshman year. They pledged, like even pledging, everything could be going great, and then you pledge. And that shit fucks up everything. Like, your shit drops out the bottom, you get hurt, you know. So it ain't
Well,
about
I'm a
being
prime example. You correct. I started. I'm 56. I started what 5 years ago.
Mhm.
For cybersecurity because my job. I drove for Walmart and they paid for the full bachelor's degree.
Mhm.
So I wasn't in no rush. I didn't need because driving you got long days. So I just took one course at a time. That's why it would obviously take longer than 4 years. But then I had the accident in the truck. And Brass know, DQ and all those guys know that both my shoulders got messed up and my back. So no more truck driving. They held my
Mhm.
job for a year. I think I got 10 credits left, which is probably around 11,000, which ain't even a big deal. It's just the effort now. I just had a surgery. I had two of them last year. So now I got to adjust my mind and everything. Like you said, circumstance, you know. But even at my late stage in life, I didn't go when I was young. So I said, nope, I'm going to go now. It's a free ride. I'm going to be in the truck. A lot of days I stayed the night, nice sleeper in the truck. Time, I got nothing else to do. Might as well, go to school for something, that I enjoy, some tech. And now Walmart will even pay for part-time people to go to school. And when I went, it was bachelor's only. Now they do associates, they do certificates, they do. So when I used to go to the stores, right, that all changed uh, mid-career. That was only there like for 5 years. I used to tell the young people in there, man, go to school. You don't even have to get the 4 year. You can get the 2 year. If there's a certificate in something, like tech got a gang of certificates. I don't know if healthcare does or any, the healthcare field. But I was like, go, they're gonna pay for it.
Yeah, it does.
Books,
Yeah, it
everything.
does.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I said for anything, they'll pay for it. Pay for it. If you're gonna be here, and even if you part time, not saying you ain't got nothing else to do, but shit, if you going home, you live with mom, man, take you a few of them, let them pay for it, and get up out of here. It's on them. So yeah, but it is an accomplishment. How I read your book, I made sure both of my kids went to college and all that. So it's definitely an accomplishment. So I appreciate anybody that did it whenever they did it in life. What we got here? What's that?
I think that's why usually it's a little easier to do late in life.
Yeah.
Because the maturity.
Shit.
Seriously,
Not a 50
that's a
something.
real statement, bro. Like, bro,
Man,
you used to go to a college campus with no.
Oh
bro,
yeah, it's probably wild. Yeah.
It's like it's the worst setup in the world. That's why I know a lot of people fuck it up because it's like.
Okay, yeah, I guess
you don't have
for
none
that
of
point.
that.
Yeah, you're right.
You ain't never had none of that freedom, bro. Do you know what it's like to wake up without your fucking parents the first day of college? That's why they gotta have an orientation for freshmen. Do you know what a freshman?
They gotta sit you down. Yeah, they gotta sit everybody. Parents go in this room, kids go in that room. Okay, we gotta talk to everybody.
Bro, The first thing they taught us at freshman orientation, I'm like, damn, we gotta go to school and shit. All my friends is home. Our freshman orientation, Ohio State, started literally 3 days after I got out of high school. And we were like, damn, everybody else is don't start until July and August and shit like that. In New Jersey, we get out of school at the end of the year abnormally late because I don't know what they do with y'all, but our snow days, in New Jersey, you have to make.
If you don't use them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or if you use too many, they tack them on at the end. Yeah.
Right. So in ours, you get like a banquet. You get you can bank. I think it's like 5 or 6 snow days. But shit, when I graduated, we had that fucking snowstorm, and my God, when I tell you, we were in school to damn near June, like the end of June, and then we had to do 2 days. The only rule they have is you can't do anything past July 4th. Like when they draw the line. We were up to like the 2nd or the 3rd, and then I had to go to Ohio, take all my shit out there, and then here's the crazy part. For the first 2 weeks, all they did was they would talk to you. All it was showing us the campus because the campus is big as fuck. I don't know if Ohio State is literally the size of Columbus, the city. So it's kind of like out here with Rutgers, New Brunswick. I'm pretty sure every state got a school like that, where you got a school in your area that is the city.
Yeah.
Out here in New Jersey is Rutgers. Rutgers is the size of New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Campus, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle works at Rutgers. He's the what is it? The financial officer.
That's in my Rutgers. That's why you get these terms called college town, because literally everything in the town, all the industries is geared to that college to town. So, they literally were just teaching us like, this is what it's like to wake up without your parents. And the very first speaker he said, this morning is a very poignant point in your life. You woke up without your mother, your father, and your home. And he said, you're going to do that for the next 4, 6, 8 years. This is where I got it from. He said, this is not about education. This is a marathon. Don't try to join every club. They don't allow you to join clubs your first semester. Don't try to join every club. Don't try to go to every party. You can't pledge at Ohio State until your middle of your sophomore year. And he was like, listen, this is just survival. He said, none of you, the smart ones amongst your freshman class aren't here. Now that's when I realized I might have been stupid. But he was like, yeah, the smart people on this campus aren't here. The smart freshmen, they're somewhere else. They're having a different conversation. This particular group, the athletes aren't here. They're having a different conversation. You're the core of the university. You just got to get used to getting yourself up, getting yourself to class, managing your time. And you don't realize that, like, you really don't know how to manage your time kind of without your parents. You know, you got to learn how to pay bills. You got to learn how to your financial aid is your concern, not your parents.
Right.
And so it's just little things that I remember, and I realized it was teaching me more for what life actually is. Like, you know, don't stop focusing on life being good. I still remember stuff he said. Stop focusing on life being good. Focus on that life in and of itself is a lot of struggling, a lot of suffering. You just got to learn how to deal with it. That quote that I told Smalls yesterday, I don't know if Josty's still here, but that quote that I told Jossy yesterday, that's where I got that quote from.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in life that happens to you, good or bad, is to your benefit always.
So and the parents got the opposite speech, Joe. The parents, like, we got the opposite speech. It was like, okay, they're here. Unless they sign a waiver, you have no access to their information. They're going to learn to be on their own. Don't come running up here. Don't be calling. Don't expect them to call you every day. It was like, you need to go home and adjust to them not being home. You need to go home and, you know, live your life and look at it like, you know, you did your part. Now, a lot of this is on them. So, like, stay the hell out the way. Pretty much.
You know how
they're gonna have some rough times.
You might as well have been there, because the night before is where they have all the parents and all the kids meet the faculty and the president of the school. You meet the chaplain, all of that. And they told them that night, when you leave here, your child is ours. Whatever information
that's
you
what
need,
they told us. They said
if he gets injured, you gotta if something happens, if it's some kind of jail thing, because remember, you're all 18 at this point. So if you some kind of jail thing, if it's some kind of anything, you can get the information from him. We treat our students like adults, and that's what I mean by its resilience. And that's why when I talk to certain people, I can tell you never been through nothing where you had to be challenged. You never been through nothing where you had to be you think, when I hear people in this community talk about academics, I'm gonna say this to each and individual, you, Jossie, Mel, and Hits, I can tell you never went to college. It's not about that isn't what it was. Y'all keep going to these people, calling them experts. They went to school longer than everybody else. Unless they're introducing stuff to the field, all they're doing is regurgitating something you could read yourself.
Facts.
You can read it yourself if you have at least a base knowledge, a base understanding of it. Like that's why when you say certain things, Mel, or Hits or Mujasi, when somebody says, this is not the bash, I'm not doing the elder thing, but I heard they were like, Dr. Ben worked in the field, and it's like you can say something so many times, and you don't realize, like, no, he didn't. Like he went to Africa. Yeah, well, doing tours is not in the field. You just went to Africa. You got to get some dirt in your hands. You got to, there's permits for all of this stuff. I can look it up. If he did work in the field, I can go find a paper. He either ran a dig or didn't dig, or worked on a dig. But all of those people's names are on papers. You can figure that out.
You're right.
So it's just little
sleep, let him sleep.
You're right. The first thing I would always ask whenever somebody says they did that is who sponsored them. You
Hmm.
follow the money. You follow the money. You find out who sponsored them. Then you
Hmm.
find out why they're there.
Wait, Brass, go back, explain that again a little bit. You said you can tell who been to college and who hasn't about how?
How they talk to me about what they think college represents.
Oh, gotcha.
When somebody says to me, like, you went to college, Majasi, yes or no?
Hmm.
When you talk to people in these communities, can you tell who went and who didn't?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
How?
Um, oh man, there's a number of ways. There's a couple of ways that I
Let
can
me give
kind
you
of
one of mine. Give you
okay.
one of mine. And then tell me all the ways. And anybody else do it. They put such an overemphasis on the college education and demean themselves. They immediately go, "Oh, I know you went to college. Or you sound like you went to college." It's the
Yeah, yeah,
nastiest
there's
thing.
characteristics, yeah,
Right, but I know
characteristics
you
like that.
never went,
Mhm.
so you would know. Like some of the weirdest guys I know graduated with doctorates, and these are some weird people. Like really, like off human beings. When I hear someone say to me, um, oh yeah, you went to college. And then they make it seem like they put such an overemphasis on it, like that immediately makes me or you or somebody smarter than them.
Right, right.
In their defense, it's like you don't even know how brilliant you are. I'm gonna land my plane. Give me 10 seconds. I've been wanting to say this forever. For as much as people think I disrespect the conscious community, I think it's amazing that a person like Gullah exists, or a person like Fetty exists. I never told them. I'm glad they're not here. I never told them how impressed I am with the fact that these are people that can really understand Egyptology on a high level without a college education. I understand that
Hmm.
everybody else is just reading, but there's some people in this thing, people can disrespect Smash all they want. He's been learning Metal Netter for 20 something years. Hieroglyphics, I don't know if he's right or if he's wrong, but some of that stuff is right. I've seen, Egyptologists, a couple Egyptologists say he's on point. But my point is, you look at a guy like Fetty. Fetty had some college, but the ability to understand haplogroups and genetics and all this, that, and the other. That's why I always say, I wish a motherfucker would have went to college, man. What we had got.
Hmm.
But I apologize. I cut you off. But what were you saying, Josh?
No, no, no. I think you're on point. There's the couple of characteristics that you elevated was, yeah. I tend to notice that. I'm not always 100% sure, and I never making assumptions that, oh yeah, you went to college or not. Um, but one of them that you mentioned is that the high is kind of like the perceived reference for people who've been to college, and the assumption that they have somehow more intellectual prowess than themselves, and it kind of reflects on them. It kind of comes off to them as a reflection on them, like they don't have as much smartness or intelligence, or that intelligence only exists with people who walk away with a paper, with a couple of letters behind their name. Um, and I also noticed that, and it's not 100% accurate, is that when I'm just having conversations with brothers, um, sometimes when their passion overwhelms their point, and you can tell that their identity is tied to the point or the position that they're taking, sometimes I get the impression like, yeah, you probably haven't went through a scrutinizing process for a few years where you've had to survive academic assault on your ideas and your papers and your perspectives, because you're way too emotionally and psychologically invested into that perspective that you're trying to argue. And I could oftentimes tell, like, you might not have been in a academic arena where you've had to, to some degree, discard what you thought was 100% right just for either your peers or your professor or your team or group of people that you're working with to challenge you on that and make you investigate that more. So you're not entirely subjective to your point. You create some flexibility for an objective practice. And I can usually kind of look at those characteristics and say, like, Yeah, bro, you way too invested in that point. To the point where somebody's mama is a bitch and there's some curse words and the derogatory, derogatory statements being expressed because you've you're heavily invested in that. And when you in some of those college spaces, there's room for debate, there's room to have discourse and disagreements, but you learn not to be entirely um, dependent on a perspective, that you have to create room and space to challenge what you know, to always be on a quest of asking questions and to learn. And you take that beyond college and you move that into other spaces where you can learn because you realize that college exposes the reality. It doesn't teach you this. It exposes the reality that life is a lifelong learning process, and you can't stop just because you've walked across that stage. It doesn't work like that. So I usually look for characteristics like that, and I could tell like, who's been on a campus and who's not. Some people have, you know, navigated and circumvent, spaces, but they've never been in a rigorous space where they've had to wake up and had a 12-page paper, had a research, annotate a bibliography due. You had, a team meeting where you have to debate 4 books that you had to read in the last few weeks. You've never been in that space and circle.
And those electives, right? Like a person will have a mindset. This is my major. I'm going to school for this topic, but you have to take these electives. Like have to. Like again,
Hmm.
I did it so later on in life. My advisor was like my best friend, and you could tell she probably was fresh out of college herself, and
Hmm.
like just the elective, she was like, how you want to do it? You want to get them out the way first, or you want to save for the end? If you're into the tech stuff, how do you want to do it? But we got to set this up for you. So I chose to do all the elective, as much as I could first. So all I have left is like 10 tech courses, but one was
Same.
law enforcement, like that. Like I would have never thought I was going to learn anything, even though it was like say basic law enforcement, but it was of course I had to take statistics, um, and
Mm-hmm.
just different things. And I was like, I don't know about this. Like, history. I took 2 histories. Um, it was just, so that's another way I think you could tell if somebody, um, went like not only their personal feeling about something is overwhelming, they didn't like their range is not as far as it should be if they had
Right.
went to say like a 4-year
I agree.
college. Like there's a lot of stuff that has nothing to do with your major that you're gonna have to get through and be proficient. Well, the grades vary, but personally you want to be proficient. And
That's right.
when you see people go across a range of topics, you can, it's not so obvious sometimes, but you can tell, like, okay, this person, they ain't been out of this bubble in a while, because most,
Yeah.
I think college people are, and when I was younger, when I found out somebody went to college, I was like, oh, that's why they're more like well-rounded. That's why they can talk about a multitude of things. Like, if you ever watch the game show Jeopardy, like, how the hell do these people know something about every damn thing? They ask these range of questions like, who the hell would know that? If you were chemist or auto mechanic, not auto mechanic, but your degree is in something else, very specific. How would they know these other topics or
Hmm.
any of that? So it's just range too. I think it's obvious
I agree.
lack of range. You know,
I agree. But there's something that Mel said earlier that I think I'm going to emphasize again because I think it's important is that college does not make it's not the arbiter of intelligentsia. It doesn't make you smart. And I want to make sure we savor that and center that in this conversation because I don't want to present, and I know we're recording right now. I don't want to present any notion that there's some elitism happening in this discourse here. What I've experienced is my limited life walking on this rock, spinning around this sun. Um, is that some of the most intelligent people I've ever had a conversation with was not on the campus. Some of the most smartest people I've ever learned from and had a powerful exchange from did not graduate with some degree. And I think what that speaks to in terms of the ingenuity of Black folks is that most of us was autodidacts, and we created some geniuses and brilliance and intellectual expressions amongst our people throughout our history. And so I don't never want to associate that college is somehow equated with intellectualism. And I know that's a very Western conceptualization that they have pushed for a long time. But I think it goes to what Mel and what Brass was saying earlier, that it does push character. It's a resistance, it's a resilience practice. Like you go in to that in those institutions, whether they're HBCUs or predominantly white institutions, and it's about survival. It's about capacity building. It's about going through the indoctrination. It's about getting through. And I'm not saying it ain't no smart brothers and sisters on campus. I'm just saying that that's not the space where you can presume that everybody there is like somehow smarter than the person who's not there. Um, but you may run into some very high caliber thinking individuals in those spaces that do challenge us to exercise some thinking and cognitive exercises. Just like you may experience that in a barbershop, you may experience that in a church, you may experience that in a Mason Lodge. Um, College is more likely where you'll create some space for a few brothers and sisters who are thinking and they're critically thinking and they're and it creates, and it's a good space. But intelligence doesn't only reside in, and you probably oftentimes not going to see it alone on a campus. As a matter of fact, one of my elders taught me that you meet a lot of dumb people who walk off of campus with a degree. There's a lot of people who go in with some ingenuity, they go in with intelligence, they go in with common sense, they go in thinking well, and when they graduate, they more confused and more dumb than when they walk in.
Facts.
So,
Facts.
yeah, yes,
So
sir.
it's a survival. It's a resilience.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
telling you. Like I'm telling you, if you went through it, you'll never forget the process. That's
Mm-hmm.
why those stories are so legendary
Important. Yeah.
because you remember and you remember just simple survival things like food. That's why when people go to college, they remember the food. They remember they remember like the late, not eating the because everybody didn't have you went to college, but everybody didn't have a food plan. So
That's
then,
right.
sometimes you had the chef on the floor. Sometimes you was the chef on the floor, the guy who could turn, and it's funny, uh, the parallels between college and prison. I'm telling you, when you really start,
Mm.
when you start
That's a good
watching,
point. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
when
Mm-hmm.
you
I like
when
Mm-hmm.
you
that.
start looking at how it operates and how it
Mm-hmm.
moves, and they got the chef and they got the things they make up, and the yard. I mean, every college got a yard. Go out on the yard. The yard of, usually that's where the fraternities got their benches and stuff like that, and they call this shit the yard. It's like, and the other parallel is how some of your friends went to prison, some of them went to college, some of them went to military, but it's all of these different, um, quote unquote, I guess boarding schools. I guess it's just of different
Yeah.
flavors. Guys go out, go. How many people you go? College is about survival. Yes, you learn. I'm not saying you don't learn. I'm not saying you don't. You can come out of college and be crazy. Like I can't forgive where I grew up. I can get a little crazy in conversations too. But even tactics and conversations, the reason I can recognize them is because of college, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in these conversations, these kinds of conversations so many times, and then to come out and go into politics where it's 100 times worse. I could tell when you spinning me. I could tell when
Mm-hmm.
I can. One of my superpowers in discourse, right? I guess is everybody has a superpower in discourse. Mel's is sources, Majasi's is more of like an emotional intelligence. So like I said, and that's Hits. You and Hits kind of got this emotional intelligence where you can cut somebody, but they don't know they really being cut. Or you and Hits have already kind of figured out pretty much what this brother is doing, what this brother's talking about before they finished. So it's like, I know this conversation won't even last that long. I don't even really waste that much energy on this. You do that too, man.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I realized really quickly in conversation is when you're spinning me, I can tell if somebody knows what they're talking about quickly without any of the bells and whistles. That's why I always say, like, these source conversations, I don't like having them. Because in actuality, I know when you're learning a subject on the fly while I'm talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
For real. And that's why,
Mm-hmm.
and part of it is if you're offering information on every subject, then I know you capping. Like if I was in here, that's when Logic one day started talking about he was in Black Egypt. And even I kind of took a step back, like, how? Like, damn, I mean, shit, if you somehow are an authority on Black Egypt at this point, Brother Logic, then you pretty much you in the conscious community. And then I told him, I was like, I thought you was normal. You know, you got it.
We call it outside the barnyard. We call it outside the barnyard.
Yeah, the barnyard.
Like, come out the barnyard.
Yeah, I was like, bro, you fully infected. Because I was like, bro, we having conversations about free will and all this, that, and the other. And then you could have the same adept conversation about the Green Sahara and Nilotic and all this other stuff. So then now I'm realizing, like, oh yeah, no, you infected. And he'll tell you, I think I said it live on the show. And because to me, it's always amazing. Like I hear Fetty talk about DNA, genetics, haplogroups, the bell curve, and IQ. But then when he talks about the stuff in Black Egypt, he talks about the stuff in Black Egypt that he understands, the migrations and stuff like that. But he don't get off all into the metal natter and all these other 900,000 things. He don't do that shit. He don't do it because it's not.
And too, like you said, the resilience part, that definitely it's a resilience builder.
Mm-hmm.
I think the second thing the advisor told me was, first thing was, let's see how much time you got during the day, to actually do this. Like we ain't just gonna sign you up, whatever. Let's work on the schedule. And you see, like in the truck, you guys work like 11-hour days here and there. Sometimes all the way up to 14. Not physical work, but that's how long your day can last if you're sitting waiting. And the second thing was, don't quit. There'll be days, like Brad said, that you just don't want to do it, that you just say nope, or you can't get something done. If there's a time constraint, follow the submission rules, the late submission rules. I don't care if it's horrible. Submit your work. It keeps you on the process. It keeps you on the time schedule. And don't quit. And I was like, why are you saying like it was very simplistic. Don't give up. And I was like, why would I? She said, trust me. There's going to be days. And I'm not talking about regular, just hard shit that you just want to say, you know what? What's the point? She said, you're older. Obviously, you got a decent career. You more likely to probably go, I ain't really going to do nothing with this. Or, I could be doing something else. She said, but don't quit. She said, a lot of people, they hit a bump, they hit 10 bumps, and that sends them out of here. And they don't recover or they get behind. Don't quit. Don't get behind. And I was like, and like Brad said, there was days I was like, why am I even doing this? Like I can go on YouTube. I can get my own books. I can autodidact, I can learn this, it's just tech stuff. And she was like, don't do it. And that with those, it builds resilience. Builds resilience.
That's the old Abraham Lincoln quote. You can go as slow as you want, but don't never go backwards. That's the quitting. Yeah. Sometimes I'll go fast. Sometimes I'll go slow. Sometimes I'll crawl. Sometimes I might have to just stand in place, take a second. It's like getting hit on the football field. It's like I need a second. Like I think my chest is outside my body right now. I need to get I can't even breathe right now. But what they tell you is the key thing for college is just don't never go backwards.
Mhm.
Don't quit. Don't go the other way. And then you'll be fine. It's the guys that's trying to, you were talking about electives. Electives in college are the funniest thing. Like because I had so many brothers and sisters, I had all of these conversations. So I came in somewhat prepared. And it was like a lot of my friends, they were taking, your first semester they want to see where you are from high school, So you're taking English 1, English 2, unless you took AP courses. But
college algebra. Yep.
Yeah, you're taking like just simple stuff. But then you start paying attention because you don't even get into your major until, I know in Ohio, you don't get into your major till like the middle of your sophomore year. Like you started out in your sophomore year, but you don't go to that particular college. Right now, you just go into the school. You don't even get to go into the law building, the education building. You don't get to go into any of them buildings as a freshman. So
yeah, you got to take some Englishes, math. You got to take like prerequisite shit before you even dive into this shit like later in your sophomore year.
Yeah, they got to see where you at. So what they do is, but then you do get to pick like 2 or 3 of your classes in your first year. And my brother was like, listen, my brothers and my sisters all said, pick the easiest classes they offer. Pick the easiest classes they offer. Because I'm telling you right now, you got to get used to going to school. In Ohio, we got to deal with winters and tornadoes. Our winters are vicious. It's the Midwest. You do not want to be going to class just because you're trying to be, conscientious. You don't want to have to wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning during a snowstorm and walk to class. It's not a small campus. So you got to be strategic even in how you pick out what classes you take. And in your first part, some of these classes are going to be very difficult. So if you add on electives that are more difficult, you're screwing yourself. And a lot of my friends, they wanted to take the sociology their first semester. I'm like, why would you take sociology in your first semester? It's to me, sociology is one of the hardest classes that you can take in college.
It's a hard class.
Right, because it's the class where you got to think.
Right, and you got to write.
Like,
you got to write. You got to write like a lot. I just finished with a sociology class actually.
So you got to actually put your thoughts together. You're having intelligent conversations with somebody. I'll never forget Dr. Nordal. And you end up with, these are the first times where you start as a high school kid, unless you were, in the conscious community, I guess, and you was just deep your whole life. I was very simplistic it was girls, football, class, music, I was very simplistic in high school. Sociology, it sounds to me a lot like the conscious community conversations, where you're kind of having to think about, worldviews and different things like that. And for the first time in my life, I had to write, and I'm so glad I didn't take that class until my junior year, because I wouldn't have been able to take that class as a freshman. I wasn't not deep enough, but I wasn't what's the word? I just hadn't. My worldview was just very simplistic. It would have took me so far out of my comfort zone. It would have struck me. It was people in our classes that was pledging as freshmen, and it's like no, you don't even know what college is like. You're trying to be a Kappa or a Q or something like that. You don't even know what it is. And then the last part I tell you, I land my plane, is finances. My first day, this is why I know financial literacy is so important. My first day on my college campus, and this is orientation. And it's crazy because your parents come with you to the first day of orientation. The next day, when we walked out on the yard, every credit card company that existed on God's green earth was in that yard.
God, yeah.
Swear to God, every single. It was car companies out there. Best Buy was out there. Radio Shack was out. T-Mobile, at the time it was Nextel. So Nextel, all of them companies signing up little not knowing 18-year-old kids and giving them 25,000, 50,000, 60,000, 10,000, 5,000. That first week of school, motherfuckers got flat screens in their room, all kind of shit. Motherfuckers cars with $700 car notes, all kind of wild ass shit. And the only reason I knew better was because my brothers and sisters was telling me. And it was like, don't sign up for none of that shit. Don't don't be up there preaching to people like you holier than thou, thinking you rich and this, that, and the other, because this is our money. This ain't your money. We're gonna give you an allowance. Straight up. It was like, yeah, we give you an allowance weekly. Now it was very bumped up. I was in high school, my allowance was like maybe 100 a week, 150 a week, something like that. And then when I was in college, it went up high. Like it was a lot higher than that. And it was because, when you out there, it gets a little pricey, especially at a big university. Maybe at a small university you don't, but at that time it wasn't Uber, it was cabs and shit. So you got to get around, long, just all kind of shit. But my point is, when it comes to financial literacy, any college person will tell you most college students are fucked off from the rip. They go in their freshman year. Some freshmen are $50,000 in debt, and it ain't because of financial aid. It's to these credit card companies. They're like predators. They preyed on these students, and the colleges allow them to do it. And you sign up for these credit cards. Your credit is perfect. You ain't never bought nothing. You ain't never had nothing, unless your mom puts your name on a energy bill or something when you was a kid or some shit. I don't know, but. And that's the part that's another part they don't tell you about in college. You gotta watch for the motherfuckers taking advantage of you too. So I'm sure if you've been to college, if I'm saying that story and somebody's listening to me and they're saying I'm capping or they don't know what I'm talking about, understand maybe I would say that happens at 95% of the colleges. It just so didn't happen at yours. But I know that the credit card companies, especially on our campus, it was insane, bro. It was insane. 18-year-olds with flat screens and brand new outfits, all these new clothes, and all. It was just crazy. Girls with Dior bags and Birkin bags and all this. It's like, y'all bugging the hell out. And get you a good pair of flip-flops. Maybe we should do a college show.
Yo, you know what?
Right?
I was just thinking that, and
What
you just illustrated made me ask some questions. I want to ask Mel, Betty, Brass. I don't know if you went to college, but how much would you say with a lot of the stuff you just illustrated, Brass? Like, how much would you say your family prepared you for that first year of college? And I'm not talking about financial alone. I'm talking about like some of the sharks, some of the corporations, financial life, scheduling life, what to take, what not to take. How much would you say that your family backdrop prepared you and gave you the tools, the insight, the perspective? Okay.
Yeah, no,
say more. And I'm gonna hear from Mel too.
Yeah, they're the reason why I made it. Let me tell you something. You can tell the kids whose parents are in their life and the kids whose parents aren't. That has a lot to do with it. Like just a simple fact of not being able to go home. You know what that's like, bro? You know how many times I would leave my roommate? My roommate is on a college campus by himself for Thanksgiving, Christmas. Not knowing how they're gonna, just getting pulled out of class because their parents didn't pay their bill and shit like that. Like, it's all this little. I'm telling you, it is. When you think back to it, you do get kind of emotional because it's like the friends you started with in your freshman year are not the friends you have in your senior year. They're just not. They're just not. Like, some people, it's weird. It's like some people, they pledged and they completely different. They became drug addicts. That's another thing people don't talk about. See, this is the thing about college you got to remember is like, You're 18 years old. Now, everybody says they're grown, but you ain't socially grown for America. You just grown because you grew up in the projects and hoods and this, that, and the other, but you're not socially grown. So some people's first time, like, I mean, how many people go to school and just become drug addicts? Because it's groups of people. It's like a small society. There are groups of people that they just the ones that get high. And the friend that you had your freshman year, in the middle of your freshman year, now they just hang out with the guys that do drugs. If you're an athlete, like if you got a friend that's on the football team, depending on your school, you ain't gonna be that cool with him later on. You're gonna have your group of friends, and then you're gonna keep, and then on top of that, Mujasi and Mel, I land my plane. Then it's the ones that can't, that they go back. Man, this is fucking me up right now. The people that they go home for break and they can't afford to come back, and that's the last time you've seen them.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many times that happened to me in 4 years? You know what I'm saying?
And that, and you know what, y'all? You know what? It remind me of, y'all are all talking from a male perspective. Yeah. Imagine the female perspective. You know, a whole different environment. You know, so I wish we had some, women in here too.
My first time waking up with a woman was in high school. Weirdest shit ever. Man, now that's when my father. My father was like, I'm gonna keep this PG because we're having a good conversation. But have you? I called your room because that's when we still have we had cell phones, but we still have phones in the room and landlines they call them. And he was like, I called your room. Then my mother would call me on Sunday. We read scripture on Sunday in the mornings, and I would never. Not never, but sometimes I wouldn't be there to answer the call. I'd miss our meeting until later in the day. And she was like, so you was, where was you at last night? He was the girl, this and the other. And that's when my father, he gave me the life lesson. He said, whatever you doing, when you do it, get up right after and leave. He said, because many a man has fallen in love with a woman that was just whispering sweet nothings, y'all playing house. She rubbing your ears and all of that, and you think you're in love. When in all actuality, if you'd just left, you'd be okay. And then I know I'm keeping it PG as possible, but that's what I'm like, even little life lessons like that, how to deal with women. I would love to hear what fathers and mothers tell their daughters when they send them off to college, because I'm telling you, you are not prepared. You think you a gangster because you was in high school. But in high school, the benefit of everybody going home, you don't realize it until you're in college. Yep. When you're the girl you in love with, or the girl you think is the most special, yeah.
Yeah. I remember them days, them softball houses and the volleyball houses, nigga.
Yeah. God damn. For the late night parties, because the parties
nigga.
Hey, Fetty, let me ask you a question.
I was always an off-campus nigga. I'm like, I can't be on campus. I'm willing to pay whatever to get an apartment, even though, you know what I mean? So
what about Fetty? What about the girl at school? You just got there as a freshman. She's a junior or a senior. You don't know nothing about her, and you just think she the best thing to slice bread. So somebody pull your coat and say, "Nah, bro."
Nigga, I was on the nigga. You know how many joints that I done ran down on, like took down, and then a semester later, 3 of my bros on the same defense. We on the same, you know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? I'm corner.
Well, see, you was on that
joint down too. I'm like, damn, shorty just scandalous with it. But yeah, it be like that.
Yeah, so you was on a football team, but yeah, man. I mean, Mujasi, to answer your original question, yes, and I'd like to get Fetty's perspective from a football player. That'd be another dynamic. But yeah, to answer your question, Mujasi, that part of that's a tough. That's a tough part. Go ahead, man. Ooh, man.
Yeah, I'll answer the question, and I'm probably like many others. A lot of my mom, my dad said this. My mom did not prepare me for, or like the rest of the family, did not really prepare me for what was gonna come with college and things like that. A lot of that I had to learn on my own. I had to deal with it on my own. So, and by the time I finally got it, I definitely had conversations with them, but it was foreign to them. So it was like, I had to come across people who have already been in university, have already had the experience, and had a better grasp on how to manage money, what to stay away from, like the little shops and fast food restaurants nearby, because you blow your money quick that way. Like, I had to learn a lot of that.
Was your
like on the
parents
fly.
college graduates too, Mel?
No.
Was your parents college graduates too, Mel? No. Okay.
No.
I had a
My mom took classes, but she didn't graduate.
I did a little audio interview with my mom like 2 years ago. She actually went to VCU, which was a PWI at the time, and she actually went to a HBCU for her master's. And she told me she was dealing with like a polarity of like when she was at the PWI, she said that as a black woman, she didn't feel like she belonged, but the fact that the teacher didn't, pander to her being an African American and she was just like a student like everybody else. She said that made her maximize her like potential and really, get to it as far as academically. But she said when she went to the HBCU, and I had this similar experience in my life. That's why I talked to her about it. I was asking her, I'm like, yo, did you experience? Because I went to a PWI and went to a HBCU my senior year, and I dropped out once I lost my scholarship and all that, and I saw like the real shit dealing with meal plans and financial aid. I couldn't deal with that because I didn't want to go in debt. But what my mom said was, she said when she was at a HBCU, she saw that the quality was very low. Teachers was letting students do whatever, pass, get a C, and do it. But she said she needed it too. She said she never felt as belonged in a community. So she said like emotionally and things dealing with the mental, going to a HBCU was a real relief. So it was interesting hearing her perspective regarding like those polarities. Because I ain't gonna lie, bro, I be having smoke for HBCU sometimes, and I'm like, based off my experience being there for the short time, it's not the bar, bro. Like I hate to say it.
It really ain't. A lot of that is just, I hate to make this comparison, but a lot of HBCUs rely on their reputation the same way you see it done in the conscious sector, where it's like the reputation precedes the experience. So when you're there and you're experiencing it, it's like, yeah, this ain't the college experience I was looking for. And, you really are on your own in a sense that, if you surrounded by people that are slacking or fucking up, like nobody's gonna say anything, nobody's gonna step in and do anything. So you kind of have to just either separate yourself from it and, focus on what you gotta do, or you fall victim to it.
Thank God for Howard Homecoming. Thank God for Howard University's homecoming. If you're on this area, I'm pretty sure Chef's been. Chef, you ever been to Howard Homecoming? If you're on this, if you're on the East Coast,
I've heard about it.
Yeah. So that that's the first time I ever crazy. I seen Diddy because he would go every Bad Boy would go every year, Rockefeller would go every year, da da da. But here's my point about Howard Homecoming though, because instead of going to the Ohio State University, I almost went to Howard, and the only reason I didn't go to Howard University is because when I was 16, one of them, my brother was like, that's, you're interested in Howard, come to Howard Homecoming with me. So I went up there with him. And when I tell you, and I mean this in every nice word I could possibly
say it.
Howard University is a shithole of a campus.
Like Norfolk State.
It is.
Like Norfolk State, absolutely.
Where that school is located, it is in the middle of the worst projects I've ever seen, bro. Like put it like you take a foot off that campus, you are in danger leaving that campus. Seriously, I'm not joking. I don't know how it is now, but anybody that went to Howard Homecoming, you know that is not an area to play around. So, not knowing it, I would have gone just off of the name alone. Because when I graduated high school, it was Howard University was the school, Hampton University was the school.
Yep. I went to Hampton.
Yeah,
Hampton isn't as
you went
bad.
To Hampton, bro? You went to Hampton?
Yeah. I even worked at Hampton for quite a while.
I know a lot of people who played that.
Yeah, those were the schools.
What year you
went there? Name only.
Let's see, because I went there. I graduated, and then I did some internships there as well. So I stayed there for quite a while.
That's what's up.
Let me see if I can remember.
You was probably going to like ODU. You was probably going all of them spots in the 757 if you was near Hampton.
Well, I'm gonna tell you that, like, when I reference the parties, like Norfolk State, like academically, I would just never went. They had good parties. The parties were wild. I ain't gonna.
Hell yeah!
I've heard things that were like crazy. So
I've heard things.
Man, you was out there beach week, bro. I know you was at the boardwalk, bro.
Bruh. But no, Hampton University was a good experience for me, and then to even like do the internship there was also fun because it's like, you know, you're familiar with the teachers and the students, and instead of being just, you know, a regular person that was along, you know, with them, it's like now I'm actually helping students, you know, with their equipment, helping teachers with their equipment, you know, fixing, you know, equipment in the lab and stuff like that. They got a TV station there and helping them fix stuff there. So it was fun.
But yeah, I'm just saying, like, I never went to know about the academics. It's just like I remember I went to the Hampton Grambling game when it was in Grambling, and it's like you hear about Grambling University, but then to go to the campus, like it's in the swamp. So it's like what hold on, what's going on here? Then you go to Morehouse, or you go down to Spelman, or you go down to College Park, and it's in the middle of the ghetto.
Yep.
So it's like, what the hell is going on? Like, I don't know what's going on.
To like Shaw, like to the HBCUs in North Carolina Central. I think Said went to A&T, North Carolina A&T. But yeah, a lot of structures is the same.
I almost feel like every college in North Carolina has like their own town, to be honest.
Yeah, that shit different. Yeah, for real.
Yeah, it's
a lot of boonies out there, motherfucker.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, that'll be a dope convo.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Talking about the college.
Yeah.
I agree with that, Mujasi. Like, because I saw it firsthand. I always talk about when I saw brothers when we was at that the academic advisors. Y'all know when you were freshmen, and really there's no, but like luckily for me, I had coaches and my pops played college, and I had like a kind of roadmap as an athlete to navigate through that. But I'm sitting beside people like in the admissions process, nobody to look over it. They basically like, so what major do you want? And like you say, motherfuckers, 9 times out of 10, I seen it with my first hand. Pick the easiest path or with the least resistance just to get through. So I think from a parental standpoint and like Black communities, I think what you even go to school for don't really matter. It's the fact that you go in there and the goal is to finish. And a lot of times you may be the second or third or fourth person in your, direct lineage of family to even go to college. So it's like
that's
a good point that you brought up, because a lot of times people go to college thinking, because I definitely did, thinking, okay, like I'm gonna actually work in the field that I graduate from, and that's very unlikely, unfortunately. It's like you're really gonna struggle to actually work in that field, and especially if it's a competitive field like tech or health. You really have to make sure that you stand out. So you got to do more than just have a degree and have your certifications if you're trying to stand out.
None of y'all have kids in college?
No.
None of y'all got kids in
Yeah,
college?
I did.
Oh, you
Yeah.
do? Son or daughter?
I do. My daughter, she just graduated.
Close to home or far away from home?
No, she close to home. She wasn't about to leave me
You
too
close?
far.
Okay.
She was
No, that
like, her mom didn't go to college, so she was like, "Nah, I'm gonna stay close to my dad and make sure I get the advice and support that I need to be on this campus."
yeah, I made sure mine was in state. Like she went to City College and she finished at John Jay right in the city, which is like an hour from here. Because I know her. My son I would have let go to Alaska. Her, she more like me. I was like, nah, I need to be able to pop up on you. And
Yep.
because she like me, she kind of wild, but she get the job done. You know, it's like so you're like, but it's just, you know, it's weird when they're like you and you're like, I don't want you to be like me, but I get it. So yeah.
You know, and I think that's the inquiry that I was just trying to get to and make. Mel and Fetty hit it on the nail that, like, when we're talking about people's experience in the first year, that second year, when we're talking about how they engage, intellectual pursuit, how they survive, the resiliency factors that they show up with, you know, there's one conversation we can have where we're talking about the character and the alchemy of the personality when they show up on campus. But there's another conversation we can have when we're talking about the preparation and the foundation and then the support that they're coming from their family and their community. And then there's legacies in there. There's conversations in terms of legacy. I know, speaking into what you're saying, Brother Hits, is that my daughter had a far more better experience on campus than I had when I entered into college because I didn't come from a family that had any experience with college. My dad had an 8th grade education, my mom 6th grade education, both from Central South Georgia, and it just college was not a part of their trajectory or capabilities at that time. Um, and even though you know, they wanted me to go, they had no way of giving me advice on how to enter it, let alone navigate it. So it took me years to get through college because I had to cut down the weeds. I had to, and through counselors and different mentors and support, I had to create my own pathway from something that didn't exist in the family. And I didn't even have access to aunties and uncles or anybody that went to college. And so I'm curious on the inquiry in that, you know, when we're talking about what Brass and Mel and what Fetty elevated, what all of us is talking about in terms of how we navigate our first time experiences with these loan sharks and financial aid and learning how to set our schedule, when to eat, when to pledge, what classes to take. When you have someone who has you know, a family that has somewhat close proximities to academia like that, you're a little bit more prepared than those who don't. And I think that's a conversation we need to lean in a little bit more, especially when we're advising and creating pathways for even our nephews and nieces and other children in our life to be prepared to go onto campuses.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people like myself are not prepared, and so they just kind of fall victim for a lot of those things, and that alone will push you into being like, you know what, I kind of don't want to do this. Like I've definitely had days where it's like, yeah, I don't even want to show up. Like,
And with Jackson, let me tell you something about college. Remember I said I compared it a lot to prison? There's another thing about college people don't talk about. Everything could be happily going along and this, that, and the other, but because you're not fully mature and you don't realize what these moments are, and you think everything that happens is the end of the world, a lot of people get screwed out of their college educations. Where
yes,
one moment, just one moment, bro, one moment of doubt, one moment of defeat, one moment of a girl or a guy, a failure of a test, and you ain't got to go home and you fail a test. Like let me ask y'all all. We need a college show, Mujasi. We need you to moderate a because these kids is about to go back to school or about to become freshmen. Let's do a college show set up something
Yes,
with some college, some people that have some college. We need to find some women that went to school too. But this is the kind of conversation that is like, it's helpful. People can actually play and use. We can moderate the language. You know what I mean? Keep it clean. But the part of just that moment that screws you out of school because you don't have the ability to deal with it. And here's the one that nobody talks about ever. Remember, you're not getting progress reports. You're not getting a report card. So you got kids that are up at the school that have been on academic probation. They done did all of that. They just functionally at school. And here's the crazy thing. You wouldn't believe this. They just ain't going to school at all. They just living there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They just went, they got bad grades, they got down, and they just gave up. And they just wake up every day, go to the cafeteria, come home, and you go into class, they're still in the room.
You know how many niggas I knew who was so talented on the field, but that academic probation, man,
they couldn't do it. They couldn't
practice. They just smoking bud every day. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, because the food is there. You're not paying energy bill. You're not paying for water. So as long as you're on academic probation, but you're on financial aid, how many of them guys and girls are just there until they just ain't? Where they functionally given
they
up
just living. Yeah, they just
at
living
school, and they just living there. Yeah. And let me tell you another nasty part. We talk about the older guys that come back to school, that graduate high school, that freshman year, and he's still dating the senior, and he coming back to the school and this, that, and the other. I never forget, there was a guy on the football team, and he graduated, damn, I ain't gonna be specific, but he graduated from our school and went to a football team. And he was obviously getting money at whatever college it was. And then, at whatever team, he was a good player. I'm trying to be very vague in this because you would know who I'm talking about if I could be too specific. And he was, he's on our campus with a Lamborghini, not a Lamborghini, but like a really expensive car. And this guy was in the NFL though. And he was just dating freshmen at high school. Freshmen in college. Just dating them, coming back, driving through the campus because he got money in the NFL. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm trying to be really cool. What was it? What was? Would he play offense or defense? Hell no, because I think you already know. So no, I ain't doing that because I know. But I'll talk to you about it after. But
let me know because I don't know who you're talking about.
Right, but what I'm saying is, at our school, and he was dating freshmen, like girls who just got there. And they thinking this guy's like this, that, and the other, but you got the same predators like in high school. The guys who graduated high school and came back and was dating the high school students, picking them up after school with, cars and this, that, and the other. And the thing you don't realize, I would love to hear it from a woman's perspective. And that would actually be a really good conversation. We should find women, not in the conscious community, just women, period. Or in the conscious community, don't matter to me. But this is a life conversation, not a conscious community conversation. How many of those women as freshmen on those campuses that first get there are dealing with grown man game? And I don't know if y'all know what I mean, but like a senior on a college campus that done ran game on hundreds of women at that point. He's seasoned. He knows. He's effectively a grown. He's almost a pimp, almost. And you got the girls in your class dating guys that's like 25 years old. They 17, 18, and they just don't. You know what I'm saying? They don't know the pregnancies. And Mujasi, there's so many dynamics to this conversation. You could almost do a number of shows. One could just be dating. Because then you get into the multicultural aspect. Most people ain't never really been around white people till they get to college. Most people ain't really been around. Seriously, most people, the first time I was blessed because I came from New Jersey. It's completely multicultural. But imagine the farm guy who's never met the inner city guy, and now y'all roommates. Just the dichotomy of roommates. We had a guy named Memphis my first year. I never met nobody from Memphis. And he was just different. He was a different guy. That's the first time I heard 3 6 Mafia and all of that stuff, and Fat Pat and Project Pat and all of them. Like it's such a social, like you just thrown into the fire and you just don't know any better. And you gotta make educated decisions, and your damn frontal lobe ain't developed yet.
Yeah, I met some dope people who I judge like at first, like who the fuck, you know what I mean? But once I got to know them, and I guess like once, in my perspective, like I guess playing sports, like I was around a lot of different people who was, culturally different. But once I realized, we fighting for the same thing. We got to get up and run the same, go to these morning workouts the same way. We practicing every day, and we found that commonality. So yeah, but at the same time, it is like college. It is a way of like, it's like a social experiment because you are thrown just into like a environment. But a lot of them decisions you make is kind of a result of what experiences you had before you got there. So I always was mindful of like, like the people who was in college that did it the right way, but didn't have a lot of external support. There's a lot of those people too. So we gotta applaud those people as well. Because I've seen plenty of people like when it was midterms, all of that, niggas like me and other people scrambling, even though we knew the shit. It's people who was prepared the whole semester. Like, man, this shit I've been doing every assignment, so I'm like, it's variance regarding like people and resilience and being able to make sound decisions without anyone looking. And I think if you are in college, you can like kind of assess yourself, and kind of get an idea on what you may have been susceptible to, good points, strong, weak points, and shit like that, and how that could translate to your real life once you get out of college. So I think it's all a learning experience for real.
Yeah, I'll be very interested to hear your take from the sports take, because y'all didn't even live with us. When you go to school like Ohio State University,
we had houses. We had big ass cribs off campus.
These guys didn't have houses. These niggas had an apartment.
Oh yeah, Ohio State. I know they was wild.
They had their own apartment complex. Yeah, crazy as hell, bro. Crazy is the craziest thing I'd ever seen. They have their own.
Niggas be trapping in that.
They was selling drugs. Yeah. They was running women. They was throwing all night parties. They would have parties and the police would just watch them. Like just pull up, park, and watch.
Yep.
That's crazy.
You talking about athletes versus the regular students, Brass?
Yeah, at our school, they were effectively they were white supremacists on our campus. Like that's how the football team is looked at on our campus. They were the Illuminati, the Avengers. You couldn't talk to them, you couldn't touch them. If they jumped you, you got a settlement. If you got into a car accident, it wasn't never reported. Like that's a dynamic in and of, depending on the school that you go to. That's a dynamic in and of itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's how it was at A&T and Elon. Football players they were celebrities already. And same shit. They had their own building. I can't remember what the building was. Matter of fact, what you call it? He went to A&T. He should know. I can't remember which dorm it was. But everybody had their own separate shit. Oh, say it ain't in here. Never mind. But,
hey, bro, I want to go back to this. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say I wanted to go back to something we were talking about earlier. I didn't get a chance to answer. But we were talking about like knowing that a person has, that they haven't, gone to college, they haven't graduated. One of the biggest things that I see, especially in like the conscious community, is reading comprehension. Like that's to me that's the biggest thing. And it makes me even question, not to like throw shade, but it makes me question, have these people even graduated high school? But to me that's a common theme in this community is people don't read and they don't have good reading comprehension.
But you learn reading comprehension like elementary
without paying attention at all. So yeah.
You do, but that doesn't mean people retain that.
Yeah, I was hesitant to saying that, Mel, because I was in college with brothers and sisters who struggle with reading and literacy and phonemic development. I'm like, how did that happen? Like, how did they even get through high school? But I learned not to judge people. I would never judge people based on their ability to understand and read the English language, let alone interpret it. But I know everybody has different struggles. So I thought about that earlier and I'm like, nah, don't say that because that's not a strong indicator that somebody is not college. Do you know what I mean?
Right. But I'm not saying it to like poke fun at anyone. I'm just saying in this community where we are surrounded by people who they want to at least be at a certain rank or to be recognized as a certain type of person, you would think that would be something that they would struggle with. There's a difference between someone who has an issue, where they struggle with that versus someone who just is willfully like not reading, not studying, and they struggle with things like that.
This is where the political part of Mujasi comes in, and this is why he has, the answers that he's given are so clean and manicured. But Mujasi knows exactly what you're talking about. He can't say exactly what you're talking about. Because see, here's the thing. I've heard it happen here so many times where Mujasi will say the words, and it just Mujasi, tell me if I'm wrong. I like to confirm with the person when I do these little analysts and diagnoses, right? Without no kind of skill at all. You know how many times have y'all heard Mujasi saying here, that's what you got from that?
Damn.
Or when somebody is saying something, it's like, yeah, I read that, and that's not what I got from that. Okay, Mujasi, please come off mute and tell me if I'm wrong, because I know he can't always be I'll translate his anger to a way. How many times have you put something in here? We saw a video. You even a person, Naeem Akbar, all of these different things, and you'll say, "Yeah, I don't even know how you got to that." I think he must be busy or something. But I've seen him do it a bunch of times. I go back to the videos. He don't when you have reading comprehension in one person, and you don't need college for that. Just that happens just a lot.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to say
people that hold on. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying you have it for college, but if you've gone through the rigors of college, like you do see things a certain way, and when someone comes with some more of a ideological, I can tell when somebody's reading when they're comprehending something they read from their worldview versus from just a strict academic sense. I can see off the rip. I know you're applying something.
Which one is more better though? Or which more
better is not English. The second part is
I mean,
yeah, I know. I'm just trying to make you better, brother. More better. Let's remove more better. And even in the hood, more better sounds crazy. But the which one is always better? It's better to have an understanding of both, but don't run with one like it's the fact. No one is the fact, and then apply your worldview. So, for example, I know that I can't even give you an example. All I know is, in my opinion, it's always best to recognize see something for what it is before you apply your worldview. If you go into it with your worldview, you won't understand it, because it's kind of like, okay, that good guy. How many times do you argue with people and you could tell their confirmation bias, they started with that, so that when they were reading something, they were looking for things that's cognitive dissonance. They were looking for things that confirmed what they already believed, rather than going into it with an open mind.
I think most of the conversation.
You see that all the time with the whole Africa-Egypt conversations.
Yeah, right. I just didn't want to say it. I wanted somebody else to say it.
So hold on. We can use the example about the colors. When we was talking about we have when somebody say they have a color determination by the ancient Egyptians, and we could just use that example and see how people come up with their own way of thinking and believe in which one's coming from an academic standpoint, and one is just some of the ancient people saying one thing, and people got two different meanings out of that, and then that went crazy.
Hey, that good guy. Can I ask a question, bro? Let me ask you a question real quick.
My expert opinion.
If you had to learn, say hypothetically, you took a college level course dealing with Egypt, the genetics, archaeology, etc. You get the syllabus, you see the course outline and stuff like that. Do you think at the end of that, your current beliefs would be altered as a result of you having to go through a certain like weekly or monthly methodology to prove, like through tests and quizzes or whatever, that you know what you're talking about? Do you think if you were to learn Egypt in that way, to where again a lot of your beliefs may get debunked within the first 3 weeks of learning the opening, whatever? How would you approach that? Would you leave your beliefs, or would you challenge the teacher? How would you approach that?
I'm not going into with no beliefs in a sense of. I'm just going into what if just dealing with the facts. If the facts remain the facts, then let's deal with that.
If you're dealing with a fact, what they deem a fact in the syllabus or the course outline, that's what I mean.
That's why I want to stick on like the color determination, the colors. If you stick on that as facts, and this is what those people say, those just sticking on the word KMT or the KM, and just sticking on that fact that they said that color was that color, how can we fight that to be anything other than that color? I just wanted to use that as an example.
I think with one thing that people
hold on real quick. Did y'all just transform a good college conversation into Black Egypt? Because if I am,
I think I did that.
If y'all did, like that's criminal. We was having a long.
My bad.
I was trying to make the connection dealing with college and how that changes. You can tell people who don't. That's the connection I was trying to make. Like college, and again appreciating the fact that when you learn something, there's a syllabus that's given to you before you even start. So when you hear people who may not have gone to college, who may not have focused as much in high school with certain theories or certain ideologies, you can tell that they missing certain steps. And as a result of you going to college and again going through a syllabus and having to do tedious shit, you can see where people fucking up at. That's all I mean.
I think the conversation started about reading comprehension, and I thought that people got that in grade school, and if you
hell
what I mean?
No. Hell no.
I didn't think that people in college had that problem.
Oh no!
Yeah, no. A lot of people in college got that problem.
Oh, whoa!
You wouldn't do.
No, yeah,
you'd be surprised. Yeah, how big the percentage is. My bad, brothers. I went out the door and my audio went dead. I couldn't hear nobody, couldn't hear nothing. So whatever was said, I hope it was good, and I know it's recorded, so I'll catch up later. Go ahead.
I did a diagnosis of you live. Where I can't let you do this without specifically talking to you. And Chef, I didn't know if you was trying to talk. Sound like I heard Chef when I stepped off the platform. But I was saying with Mujahsi, I said Mujahsi can't answer Mel's question the way he wants to when he's talking about do people outside of college comprehend things differently? And I said, well, Mujasi won't tell you, but I'll speak for him. How many times have you heard Mujasi say, you read that and that's what you got? or see, or you saw that video when you left thinking that?
Yeah.
See, so how many? So yeah. So you can't. So you agree with Mel. It's just you don't understand exactly what Mel is saying, but you agree exactly.
I do.
With
I do.
Mel. I
hear what he's
heard
saying.
you say. So you read what I read. You talking about the thing I sent you?
Yeah.
And then that's your conclusion.
That's your interpretation.
I'm telling you that has something to do with schooling. I'm telling you, bro.
It is.
It has to. It has to, Mujasi, because how many times? You know how many times I'll be like, "Am I losing my mind?" Because it's like these things would not be. Yeah, these things you would never come to that conclusion with any level of schooling at all. Now I know some people in school when they do it. I know you forgot your schooling. You had to have, because you wouldn't have came to that, even if it's counter to what you believe or what you already have confirmed in your mind. I can tell when you're trying to throw the schooling out and just focus more. And that's the answer to your question, that good guy. There are times when somebody's worldview is so ingrained, or their view of someone is so ingrained that they'll throw out common. You ever heard the statement, throw common sense out the window? There's times where it's almost like it's the baby on fire analogy. You know, your house is on fire. You don't know if your baby's in there, but they could be in there. They might not be in there. You just throw common sense out the window and you just go in there, right? There's just not the time for common sense. But a lot of times in these communities, why people can get scammed is because they have such a strong belief in a person or such a strong belief in an ideology. Whatever it is, it just the Overton window, like Corey always talks about. Whatever it is, some of these stories are so outrageous that really outrageous stories just seem normal. You know what I'm saying? They don't seem like it's that big a thing. So when somebody's just scamming you, out and out scamming you, your belief in that person or your belief in that worldview or your identity online is so tied into that person or that ideology, you can't go back. You have to completely leave it. Go ahead. Yeah, you don't say can you speak? Go ahead, speak.
So I like common sense. I in a sense of common sense ain't common. I thought it was common sense to think that everybody in college had enough reader comprehension to get them there. Not to say, I'm not saying like athletes, they pay whatever. But I'm saying if you get in, that's what my assumption was. You know the saying, you assume, whatever. So I guess
college is high school without your parents. It's not what you think it is. It's not like it's on, like college is on earth. It's not up there with the Greek gods and all of that. We're not learning stuff that is not, that is not accessible. That's how you can get somebody like a chef or a Gullah or a Fetty, people that maybe have some college or graduate or not a lot of college, you know what I mean? Or never went at all, that are just as capable as anybody that went there. It's a lot of stupid college motherfuckers. Like, it's not a special thing. If we were talking before you got in here, people that hold college as if it's not on earth, that like where you're learning from the angels of education and the W.E.B. Du Bois came back and taught us and all of that. It's the same shit. It's just a different set of circumstances, and it's a lot of self-resilience that gets you through. It's not because you're more high. I've talked to people in these rooms, I've talked to people in these rooms that I wish, you hear me say it all the time, I wish that person with those set of skills would have went to college. For real. Gullah, I don't know how much college Gullah finished, but Gullah specifically, and I always name him because I look at his academic style, Gullah would have been a great Egyptologist.
Yeah. And I think what a good guy, what my brother is saying, what you're saying, bro, is it wouldn't be bad to make that assumption. And I think it's a lot of us do have that presumption when we're thinking about people in college is that, yeah, you have enough literacy to actually land you enrolled into a semester and to be on a college campus or to be taking courses. So it's difficult to general what we oftentimes, and I know I've made this mistake often, is that we generalize that everyone in college has a certain level of intelligence, certain level of literacy that they can read and comprehend on this advanced level. And when you get there and you actually inside the classrooms and you're collaborating with people, you find out there's a lot of diverse neurodivergencies. If I can use that term, there's a lot of reading disabilities. There's a lot of literacy levels that create challenges for people to experience academia in that way where they can pull the best out of it. And it's not something that college did to them. It's something that, they just kind of grow up with and had to adapt to. And that's why we were saying earlier today, that goes to our notion that the point that was elevated at college it's a process of resilience. It's a process of survival. It's a process of building character. It's not a totality. It's not a totality of a place where you just learn and you're going to get all this intelligence and experience and this wisdom. It's not like that. Most of the times, I guess I'm speaking from a Black experience, that college is oftentimes just a survival process. You go through this space where you learning these deep lessons about life and to get through it and grit through. And 30% you may walk out with something that you've learned and gained, but 70% of that you end up discarding and can't recall and remember it anyway, depending on your field of interest. And so to go back directly to your point, you find out that there's a lot of us on the campus who don't have the literacy level that will allow them to use it as a tool to be able to experience and explore a lot of the scholastic pursuit that exists there.
Because some of them are effectively dumb too. Remember, we're all coming from different high schools. So my high school curriculum, it was college level. So I was basically, if you're taking, remember in college, if you're taking AP level courses, you're already taking college courses. It wasn't that much different. I'm being, I know it's unbelievable, but I'm dead serious. If you're taking AP calculus, AP this, AP that, when you're doing these in our school it's called AP. In other schools they call it
yeah, my son was taking that. I know.
It's something else. It's not AP courses. It's
IB international IB,
college
the IB
prep
courses.
College prep IB courses. They have different names in your school, but it's like when your teachers in high school they identify the college students quickly. So when the kids in college, when his parents go, yeah, I'm gonna put him in college, but he doesn't need that. He needs AP this, college this, and blah. And they preparing them. After you've taken those courses, when you get to college, the courses in college is easier. Like some people, that good guy, they realize when they get to college, this is where they're supposed to be. Most people, when they get to college, they realize they need their parents. Seriously, like you. Sad to say, as a college freshman, sophomore, junior, most of these people's thing is, bro, are you gonna wake up and go to class? Are you when
but
it's
they
snowing
spend their
outside,
money? That's the crazy thing. Like what I'm saying is college's tuition is
right.
Is money. So you're gonna waste your money? That's my thing about college.
Most people don't. When it's snowing outside, I don't know where y'all went to school. I went to school in Ohio, bro. When you got a 8 a.m. class in Ohio, you got 6 a.m. classes. They ban that shit, but you got an 8 a.m. class halfway across the campus. You can't have a car as a freshman, and you got to somehow get. Smalls, meet your mic. You got to somehow get to across a major college campus in a snowstorm. Oh yeah, you gonna roll them covers back over your head and go back to sleep, bro. You just are. And you ain't thinking about that's fine. You ain't thinking about tuition. You ain't thinking about your parents' money, and your parents ain't there to tell you to get your ass up. So it is survival because it's still just education. Only thing I will say that's different is some of the classes in college is that you get how can I say this? You get to think a little more. There are a lot of where you're talking with the professors. It's not like in high school where the teachers are just talking at you. They're also they're conversing with you. They're trying to help you shape your worldview. They're trying to see what your worldview is, because a kid from the inner city versus a kid that stayed on a farm his entire life and made it to college. Those are different. You know what I'm saying? Those are different what's the names, and you all got to mix on that campus.
Worldview?
Yeah, all different worldviews. I mean, because that's the first time, those are the first times you see, that's most people's first introduction to any kind of African studies. That's the first. There are no Black student unions in the high schools where I'm from. So in college, you got the Black Student Union, and those are the first time you meet the conscious community per se. Trust me, they right there. The Tazariaks and all of them, they're all at campus. All of them guys, bro. The Hebrew Israelites, the Moors, the fucking, they're all. Bro, listen, bro. Where do you think they come from? It's the Black Student Union. You got the blackety black guys, not Black Egypt per se. That's something YouTube, I guess. But you get all of the guys, like the sovereign. That's the first time I heard about sovereign citizens when I got to college. People teaching the Dr. Sebi bullshit. They was teaching some of that shit, like not like the school, but people on the campus. The all of that kind of shit. It's a culture shock, bro. Like talking to a rich white kid when his parents ain't around. Great conversations, bro. Great conversations. Fetty and Mel. And what's up, Corey? Mujasi, I gotta go to this meeting. Y'all are more than welcome to continue.
Okay.
But I gotta dip out. But I want to set up that college show. Keep it as something for kids. Kids
absolutely.
going to, I think that a raw.
I got a couple people who I think I'm gonna invite to the Discord to join us with that conversation. So I'm working on that in a few hours.
Okay, no problem.
Absolutely.
I got to dip out. I will hit y'all up later.
All right now.